Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Steph's Own channel. If you're joining me here for the first time, I am so excited to have you. So it's been a while, it's been too long, but actually that's been for a number of wonderful reasons. The first reason is that I was a bridesmaid in one of my best friend's weddings that was over in Tuscany. And not only was she, for one, she was just such an incredible, beautiful bride. The setting was incredible, but I also made her dress for the after party, so that was taking up a lot of my brain space. The other major reason, which those of you who will follow me on Instagram will know, is that I got engaged last month. It wasn't a huge surprise, like I did pick out this ring, but the actual proposal itself was incredibly surprising. My brother and my sister-in-law joined, they came over from the US to surprise me, so it was just this wonderful moment. As you can imagine, Josh and my family were just all really excited about this. I have to say, I'm probably not so much of a wedding person. The idea of planning a wedding, gives me kind of instant heartburn, but I am a dress person. So I have to say that I'm already thinking about some patterns I could use to make my wedding dress, or maybe wedding dresses. We shall see. Anyway though, today's video is not about that, and instead we're going to be finishing up my Sew Active series, which was all focused on really getting started sewing your own activewear. In the first two videos in that series, we covered really how to approach sewing activewear, the types of fabrics you should use, and some patterns. But now I'm just going to give you a run through of where to find actual activewear fabric suppliers, given the number of questions I had from folks who weren't really able to find them in stores around. I know it's really often tricky to order fabric online, so I wanted to record some really consistent, good sources for you. These shops are based in the US, Canada, the UK, Asia as well. And we're gonna have plain fabrics, printed fabrics, even a site that allows you to do fully customized activewear prints, and they've even given me a little cheeky discount code to share with you all. This is gonna be pretty fun, so let's get into it. So, if you're based in the US and Canada, to be honest, you're a little bit spoiled for choice. With some of the largest activewear pattern brands based in the US and Canada, you also have some of the best and biggest activewear fabric suppliers. Firstly, let's talk about Greenstyle. I covered Greenstyle in detail when we talked about activewear pattern brands, and I'm pleased to say that Greenstyle also offer their own line of activewear fabrics. This makes life pretty easy, just because you can find the perfect match, the perfect fabric match for any of their patterns. There are a few bases that I would just recommend for getting started, bases you should be aware of. First one is Arit. This is their kind of core activewear fabric, and it's really where I'd start for a pair of leggings. It's really a workhorse fabric, hard wearing, comes in a good variety of colors, and I would tend to use this for running, gym workouts, things like that. If you want something that's more for yoga, I would recommend their Align fabric, which clearly is meant to kind of remind us of the iconic Lululemon Align tights. This fabric is much softer, it really has that kind of second skin feel. However, just like the Lululemon tights, this fabric is a lot more delicate than something like the Arit. You don't want this fabric to be touching rough surfaces, anything abrasive. You have to wash it a bit more delicately than others. You just have to take care of it in order to maintain it, prevent lots of pilling and things like that. Now, if prints are more your style, I would highly recommend shopping the fabric drops from the Styled Magnolia. This brand is an interesting one because they actually run on monthly pre-order cycles. Basically, every 4 to 6 weeks they release a selection of prints. I think there's usually 20 or 30 prints on offer, sometimes more. And you pick the prints you like, you pick the fabric bases you want those designs printed on, and then because, again, it's being printed to order, you have to wait a little bit longer. You're going to get your fabrics more like 2 to 3 months after you actually order them, or after that round closes. Now, assuming that you don't need custom printed activewear fabric urgently, which I feel like most people don't, I really think it's worth the wait. The prints vary massively in style, from simple geometrics, florals, kids patterns, and it's worth saying that the bases go beyond activewear. You can also get their designs on canvases, French terry, even plainer woven cottons and rayons. My favorite prints from them are always their alcohol ink, or their alcohol ink rounds, and I've shown you some of those fabrics before, but I'll show you again. This is a tank top I made using one of their alcohol ink prints. This is on their athletic brushed polyester. It's one of my favorite fabric bases that they offer, and it's so soft. This tank top, I would say, is roughly 2 years old now, and it's been washed loads, it's been worn loads, and I think the printing still looks as good as the day I got it, which really, I think, speaks to the quality. I have another alcohol ink print that I haven't sewn up yet, this beautiful one with lots of blues and purples. I think it looks really nice with my nails, actually. And this one, I don't know. I try not to be the person who's scared of cutting into fabrics that they buy because it's like, I don't want to ruin it. But this one I have been hoarding for too long. It needs to be made into something this year. I'm just waiting for the right inspiration to strike. Now, if we pop over to Canada, the best source has got to be Discovery Fabrics. They are a specialist activewear supplier, fabric supplier again, and they also have a huge range of outdoor fabrics for like hardcore activity. I'm talking like trekking in snowy mountains, even hazardous activity. They actually carry the same flame-resistant Polartec fabric that is used by commercial and military workwear designers. So, you know, Discovery Fabrics, whatever you're doing, I think that they have you covered. I personally haven't shopped with them before, but I've just heard wonderful things, which is why I wanted to share. In particular, I really like that they make it so clear what the best use is for each fabric by providing really detailed technical specs, but also lots of comparisons between their fabrics. If we take their leggings fabrics for an example, you can see in this comparison sheet a breakdown of the level of stretch, fabric composition, the finish, so is it like more shiny or more matte, weight, level of compression, level of sun protection, and even recommendations on use. As discussed in prior videos, small differences in these variables really can impact the end result. So I just love that Discovery is making it so easy and giving you all the information you need to make a good choice. Now, for those of us on the other side of the Atlantic, I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Funky Fabrics, who are based in the UK. They are by far my favorite activewear fabric supplier. I think they're my favorite like globally. And they're also the sponsor of today's video. Now, to make it clear, they didn't ask me to do this. I went to them and pitched this video idea, just because I've used their fabrics for years and I truly do not think that they are as popular as they deserve. Now, when you go to their website, it may seem like a little bit unclear. It can kind of be overwhelming because there is so much choice. There's so much not only choice in the fabrics that you can order, but the level of customization you can do on those fabrics. In addition to being able to order just like plain activewear stretch bases and also lots of dance wear, like different types of swim fabric, stretch mesh, anything you want. You can also get their designs printed on a wide selection of their stretch bases. On top of that, you can further customize those designs by changing the colors, changing the scale of the designs, even adding additional decorations on top. Let's take it step by step because I think it will become much more clear. First, let's start with the plain fabrics. If you just want solid color activewear and don't want to muck about with printing, there are a few bases that you should be aware of. My favorite of their plain bases has to be the Olympus fabric, which they offer in both black and white. This is my workhorse fabric for leggings. You never have to worry about any show through, even on the white base. I personally wouldn't make white leggings because I'm too messy, but you could use it for color blocking. That's probably how I'll use it in the future. My favorite top use for this fabric would probably be something more like running or gym workouts, just because of the sturdiness, but I will say I've worn it to hot yoga classes before and it was completely fine. To show you the Olympus in a little bit more detail, I've actually made up a pair of leggings in this fabric. I'll get a little bit closer. But these are the green style Spark tights, and you can see they have that flat front, so no front inseam, a lovely little curved bridge over the back, and hopefully this close-up is giving you a good view of how just like soft this fabric is, but it's not like brushed so it doesn't get hot or sticky. It's just that perfect level of sheen as well. I like fabrics that are really matte. I don't like kind of having super shiny legs. This fabric sewed up beautifully. I was able to do reverse cover stitching on the main seams, and it is worth saying that like I'm not excellent at using my cover stitch yet. I don't do it a lot, especially I don't do reverse cover stitching a lot. And the spandex fabric just took to the cover stitching beautifully. I'm really, really pleased. I feel like I got a very professional end result. Now, if you want something more compressive, their Perform fabric should be your go-to. This fabric comes in many more plain colors than the Olympus does, and it is really smooth, really sturdy. If I were running longer distances, I mean like if I could run longer distances or I was like hiking all day, this fabric would probably be my top choice. The only thing that you need to remember though with the Perform is that it doesn't have the same level of stretch that the Olympus does, just because it's meant to be like much more compressive, have a lot more support. Given the fact that most leggings patterns are going to call for like 75% stretch material, if you were using the Perform, you'd want to size up, maybe go up a size or two. Lastly, we have Merrill. This is a much more lightweight fabric and it is perfect for tops. I personally wouldn't make leggings from it just because I like having a bit of compression and support. But for tops, I still think it's really lovely. Tank tops, I use it for sports bras. I use it to line sports bras made in other fabric. Great all-arounder for that. That does come in a few colors. However, the real party with Funky Fabrics is with its printing process. They have a huge selection of prints on offer, from florals to geometrics, wild abstract prints. However, as you're scrolling, you're going to see these like color me icons, and that's what I want to show you next. When you click on a color me product, you can actually start changing the individual colors in the print.
So let's start our experimentations with the color change functionality with this petunia design. So if we scroll down, we can see the design as well as all the individual colors that make up the design. Maybe you're like me, you're not a huge fan of the level of contrast that's here, so we can just start playing around with colors one by one. I'm going to arbitrarily pick this kind of deep blue shade. It's the same shade of blue as my high school's color, so that obviously has to change. If we click on it, it opens up the color palette window, and we can see the original 100 Funky Fabrics colors, great variety, some very bright ones, a special selection of pastels if that's more your vibe, as well as skin tones if you want to be able to find those easily. I am going to say we change the deep blue to the Arctic blue. So I like that blue already much more. You can see how it's updated in this design, but I don't really like how it looks next to this kind of orangey apricot shade, PA10. So if I click on that, I'm going to change it to a, let's say, soft pink. I already like that more, but I'm not really a huge fan of how the red centers of the flowers look. I think the contrast is a little high. So maybe I'm going to change that to, let's say, queen, because I'm a queen. Again, this is just an example, and you can do this in a much more planned way than I've done it, but I think it's really fun to imagine a load of different color combinations.
I actually got a bit overwhelmed the first time I tried this. I probably shouldn't have picked such a complicated design, so I did have to enlist Josh. For what it's worth, Josh is an architect. Anything design related, he can just do much, much faster than me. And we created a couple different color palettes from this same base pattern. It was really fun to do. This level of customization can totally change the look. Funky Fabrics was kind enough to send me samples of both the original and our favorite update, and these are both printed on the Olympus base. So to start, here you can see the original design with those lovely pastels. Again, the print quality is excellent. You don't get white show through when you stretch the fabric or like loads of print distortion. But if you want to see the version that we designed, or that really Josh designed, let's be honest, I wanted something with much stronger colors. I wanted the flowers to be a little bit more obvious, and I think that we really, really achieved that. Again, no white show through, not loads of print distortion. I think this is just really lovely. To be honest, I think that they're both very, very pretty designs, but I just wanted to give you an example of how using the Color Me option can really give you a totally different looking fabric. However, it's not just color changing. Even for designs where you can't change the colors, you can still change the design scale.
So for our next experiment with scaling, we're going to use this lovely Poppy Meadow floral fabric. So for this one, just given the fact that this is a more photographic print, obviously you can't change all of the individual colors. Instead, though, we can change the scale of the design. And to do this, I think it'll be much more clear to see if we look at our design in 3D. So we have this option down here for a visualizer tool. And when I select that, we get a few different options. You can see a flat view of the fabric. I don't really know how helpful this one would be, but you can get a sense. I prefer to actually see the fabric on a garment. So in this case, they've given us a swimsuit that we can look at. And again, we can look from a few different angles and just get a sense of how the print would scale around an actual human body. So I really like how this looks, but I tend to prefer much larger scale prints on myself. So if we scroll up and just go to choose a scale, we can click that. We get a bunch of options above and below 100%. Let's bump our scale up to 200%. And immediately we can see all of these individual flowers get much bigger. Of course, the design is scaled up by a factor of 2. And this would tend to be the type of scale that I would like on my body. However, maybe you prefer a smaller scale ditzy floral, maybe you're sewing for kids, and you want to scale that design down a little bit so you can capture more of it in smaller pieces of fabric. We can go to, say, 50% here, and immediately we get a much, much denser design. This would be adorable for something like a two-piece, again, or a kid's swimsuit. One thing to be aware of, as you start to scale the print down, the print repeat is likely going to become a bit more obvious just because you're capturing more of the repeat in the fabric that you're seeing. Still though, I think that this is a great option just to play around with different designs, get to a scale that kind of suits you, suits your frame.
Finally, you have options for foiling, basically adding a metallic design overlay on the prints. Now, I personally haven't used this. I imagine it's primarily people who sew costumes for dance or gymnastics. It's nothing against the design, it's just that the order minimum for foiled fabrics is more like 5 meters, I think, versus half a meter or a meter for their other prints. To show you an example though of the foiling, we're going to go back into the design tool and we'll apply a foil overlay to one of their designs.
So for our last Funky Fabrics example, again, I'm going to show you that foiling functionality with this print. This is a more abstract, geometric one. We'll take a break from the florals. Of course, there's still the option here to change the colors. There's the option to play around with scale. But we're going to go down and look at the foil me functionality. And actually first, let's get this on a swimsuit so we can, again, just see how the design is going to look in 3D. So bring that back around, and then we're going to go to this Foil Me section. And first we have to select the pattern that our foiling is going to have. I click that, and you can see lots of different options come up here. And they vary pretty significantly in terms of the shapes of the designs as well as the density. So how much of the design is how much of the original design is actually going to show underneath the foiling. Given that this is already a pretty kind of sparse design, I don't think it would make sense to cover it up with lots of dense stripes or something like that. So I'm just going to pick, say, this jewel as an example. We'll have that as an overlay. And now we need to select the actual foil that we want. So if we select this, we can see a bunch of different colors come up. We have lots of metallics here, including your classic copper, gold, silver, and some holographic shades, which are really fun. Given the fact that the gold and I think the silver would look pretty weird on this print, I'm going to go for a color that's more reminiscent of the original design. So we'll pick the hologram cerise. Now, once we do that, we can see that, again, I think that the foiling's a little bit hard to show in the visualizer tool, but you get a sense, again, of the scale. So we would have lots of little metallic holographic pink and purple little dash marks over our design. Again, I think it's just something that's really fun. I'm trying to think of how I would personally use it just because I'd like to have an example. But I just really feel like it's great that Funky Fabrics offers these options. If I was sewing for a kid or for costumes, I think that this would just be incredible.
You can get any of their designs printed on a really wide variety of bases. In addition to Perform and Olympus, they also offer printing on a lighter weight Flex base. Flex is really my favorite for sports bras. I tend to do Flex for the main fabric and line it with Merrill just because it's soft. I have an example here of a sports bra where I did just that. I'm going to hold it upside down because given it's a racer back, it's kind of hard to see if I hold it the right way around. But for what it's worth, we have this beautiful print. Excuse the fact that the elastic is so wonky. This was the first sports bra I ever made, so I didn't get the tension quite right. But also worth saying that I made this sports bra pre-pandemic. That's how old it is. And the fabric hasn't worn out. The print quality is still just as vibrant as it was. The Merrill inside hasn't pilled or anything like that. It's still soft and lovely, so I do still wear this quite a bit. I'm really excited to share that Funky Fabrics is offering my subscribers a nice little discount if you want to give them a try. If you use the code STEPH10, it's written here, it's written down below, you will get 10% off your order, and they do ship internationally. If you do order, please let me know, just because I'm going to be really excited to see what you make. Now, lastly, I want to spotlight a few China-based Etsy suppliers who provide excellent solid activewear fabric. Now, before someone is like, Steph, most of your audience is in the US, Canada, or Europe. Why are you not doing continental European suppliers? There's a few good reasons for this. The main one really is that there's not many large all-rounder activewear fabric suppliers in Europe the way that there are in the US or the way that Funky Fabrics is in the UK. I do have a list of activewear fabric suppliers that I'll link down below. This is something that The Last Stitch, the activewear pattern designer, very, very helpfully put together, and you can see the list by country. I've been through the list pretty extensively, and to be honest, there's lots of great activewear there, but they just tend to offer like 1 or 2 products, and those products seem good, but the stock can often be a little bit inconsistent, and it just didn't feel like something I could confidently recommend to everyone. Also, to be honest, even if you're buying the fabric in Europe, most of this activewear fabric is coming from China anyway, so you can just buy it directly from the manufacturer. Shipping is obviously going to be more expensive, but the retail price is lower, so it's just going to balance out in the end. Now, there are 2 shops where I can reliably get my activewear fabrics on Etsy, Nextlace and Nafeel. I'm going to link everything down below. The product names on these sites are not easy to find, it's not easy to navigate, so you can just follow the links that I put. Now, I've spoken about these companies before in terms of swim prints. They have great designs. I'll be honest, the print quality, hit or miss. However, for solid activewear fabric, I actually think they're great. I'm featuring them together because I'm pretty sure that this is actually the same factory. The color numbers are the same. The item numbers for one are just like the inverse of the other. Their address seems to be the same when I've ordered them, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, for their general all-around activewear base, I'd recommend the very catchily named H4106. I have a sample, like, partial color card here to show you with these fabrics. And again, you can see it's a nice weight. It's about, what is it, 260 GSM, which I think is really good for leggings, even in some of these lighter colors. And the fabric is very smooth. I'd say it's very, very soft, but not like so soft that you'd be worried about it pilling. And I've made both leggings and tops with this and been really happy with the results. If you do want something that's a little bit sleeker, you can go for the N1061. This is actually a nylon spandex blend as opposed to poly spandex. It's a little bit more lightweight, so 230 grams per square meter. And to be honest, at that weight in the lighter colors, I would not be trying to do leggings. Tops, yes, leggings, no. This one, again, it's so smooth, so I do like it for running tights, but I will say that because it is nylon spandex rather than polyester spandex, I probably wouldn't be my first choice for like a super sweaty workout, just because it does eventually start to get that kind of wet swimwear feeling. Similarly, I actually love their rib knit fabric for activewear tank tops. They again are nylon spandex, but they're really soft and the colors are lovely. Two different options here to show you. You can see here just a very lightweight one. This is like super, super lightweight, like nearly transparent, like not transparent, translucent, but super bright colors, very, very saturated, perfect for something that's like really lightweight, very flowy. Obviously you don't want like a super tight tank top in something like this. If you do want to go for something heavier, I have their 300 GSM rib knit here. And I've actually like already sewn a few things with this in the past. And you can see here, it's softer on the inside. It is much, much thicker. You're not going to get any white show through with this. Obviously great for swimwear, but I've actually made some like Pilates type tops with this, and I just lined it with, I think, Meryl from Funky Fabrics, but any kind of more traditional poly spandex would be great, just to avoid that like wet swimwear right next to the skin feeling. I've talked about this in my what to look for in activewear fabrics video before, but nylon spandex is really never my first choice for activewear in general, but for smaller items, workouts that aren't super sweaty, any of the stuff I've just listed would be great. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video and found some new shops to try. Thank you again to Funky Fabrics for sponsoring this video, and I really hope that some of you want to take advantage of that discount code and create your own exciting designs. I'll be back next week with another video which is going to cover all the things that I've been making recently. We have tops, we have trousers, we have modern designs, we have vintage designs, including some of the ones I showed you in my vintage pattern haul a few weeks back. I can't wait to show you everything I've made. I can guarantee that I'll post it in a timely fashion because the video is actually already recorded. Somehow I've actually gotten ahead of schedule. This month is also Me Made May, so if you do want to see more from me, I'm posting much more consistently on Instagram this month. I'm spotlighting my own favorite Me Made outfits, as well as spotlighting other makers participating in Me Made May. They're saved in my highlights, but you can find me on Instagram at the same exact handle, just Steph Stone. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!